Greetings everyone, this is TFN. For centuries, the Egyptian pyramids have fascinated researchers with a vast number of unsolved mysteries. And although they are one of the most famous and studied architectural monuments in the world, there are still more questions than answers related to the pyramids. And the main one of them is the theory of the construction of these enigmatic structures. There are still many conflicting opinions about their construction. With the development of technology and the emergence of modern research methods such as tomography, modeling, and temperature screening, new data is emerging about how ancient wonders worked. Today in this video, we will try to give an exhaustive answer to an open question. How were the pyramids of Egypt built? But before we dive in, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon. Sit back, relax, and let's get started. The Pyramids of Khufu, or the Great Pyramid of Giza, erected during the time of the 4th dynasty by Pharaohs Khufu and Khafre, are the only surviving wonders of the world. And although it is 4,500 years old and is the largest of all ancient Egyptian pyramids, there are still disputes about how it was built. The Great Pyramid was made up of more than 2 million huge stones. The largest blocks weighed several tens of tons, and the total weight of almost 140-meter-high structure was almost 6.5 million tons. To prevent the pyramid from sinking into the ground under its own weight, a sturdy rocky soil was chosen for its foundation. Granite blocks were brought here from a quarry located 1,000 kilometers away. Scientists still haven't reached a consensus on how the stones were transported and how the Pyramid of Khufu was built. While they continue to determine the main theory, the technology of pyramid construction is surrounded by myths. The most common of these claims that the pyramids were not built by the Egyptians, but by more ancient or even extraterrestrial civilizations. However, historians working with ancient documents remind us that the Egyptians had a habit of recording everything. And if the construction was carried out by extraterrestrial civilizations, then we would have definitely read about it in ancient Egyptian sources. Another popular myth says that some secret knowledge is encoded in the pyramids, up to the point that their purpose was to carry out astronomical observations. But scientists Jean-Philippe Lauer, Rainer Stadelmann, and Mark Lehner, who have devoted their entire lives to studying the pyramids, authoritatively state that most mathematical and astronomical theories are based on incomplete or incorrect data. At least because it has not been proven that the ancient Egyptians possessed the same mathematical apparatus used by those who are now studying the pyramids. Therefore, it is unlikely that any knowledge is encoded in them for us. In contrast to the voiced myth, there is another theory according to which the pyramids were intended for simple grain storage. However, modern archaeologists, such as Alice Stevenson from the Egyptian Archaeology Museum at University College of London, do not take such claims seriously. The pyramids in Giza are primarily the tombs of pharaohs. But they are also symbols that concentrate around them the ideological and religious attitudes of ancient Egypt. In the opinion of the Egyptians, the deceased will be able to lead an afterlife if two conditions are met. If they were provided with everything necessary for existence in this world, and their body was able to be preserved. As a result of these beliefs, the mummification of the deceased and the construction of tombs resembling fortresses became common practice, as each pyramid was meant to serve as eternal protection for the body hidden within it. While the question of why this was done is generally understood, questions still remain about what the pyramids were built from and how they were constructed. Recently, waves of pseudo-scientific speculation about ancient Egyptian construction methods flooded the media. Specifically, it has been claimed that the stone construction blocks used to build the pyramids were actually concrete structures. To debunk this fake theory, geologist James Harrell from the American University of Florida had to map out 128 ancient quarries in the modern-day territory of Egypt and northern Sudan. He had to figure out which types of building materials were preferred in different parts of ancient Egypt during various time periods. As a result, we now know that the main building materials used in ancient Egypt were relatively soft sedimentary rocks that were easy to work with, such as limestone and sandstone. Initially, limestone was the main stone used by Egyptian builders because it was more common. For example, one of the Great Pyramids of Giza, the Pyramid of Khafre, was built from limestone that was quarried right behind it. Sandstone was used less frequently due to difficulties in transportation, but it became a popular building material in later times. Harder granites and granodiorites, or highly silicified sandstones and basalts, were also quarried and processed by the Egyptians, likely for special purposes, both practical, to reinforce the construction, and ceremonial, to pay homage to the pharaoh or a deity. Of the 128 known quarries, 89 were limestone, 36 were sandstone, 3 were gypsum and anhydrite. And here is the answer to the question of what the pyramids are built of. In order to avoid gaps, voids, and chips between large blocks in constructions, the Egyptians invented their own type of solution based on gypsum. When this mineral is heated to 100 to 200 degrees Celsius, it loses some of its water and turns into semihydrate, burned gypsum. When mixed with water, the substance crystallizes again in the form of gypsum and quickly solidifies. Usually, the stone was mined in open-type quarries, but when material of special quality was required, tunnels were dug up to 100 meters deep into the cliff. Rectangular blocks were cut out using chisels and stone hammers. How were they transported to the construction site? The discovery of an ancient papyrus in the port of Wadi al-Jarf in 2013 was a stroke of luck. After deciphering the document, scientists learned that during the construction of the Great Pyramid, a team of 40 workers opened dams to divert water from the Nile into artificial channels leading directly to the pyramids. This helped establish that the giant stone blocks were mainly transported by water. How did the Egyptians lift them up? In 2018, archaeologists reported that they had found an ancient ramp system in the eastern desert of Egypt, in the Hotep Nub quarry. This 4,500-year-old ramp is a sloping surface with 2 staircases on either side and numerous holes in the ground. Archaeologists believe that a group of workers dragged the load uphill using ropes thrown over wooden posts. And this made the task easier. There is also evidence of how they moved the blocks across the sand. In the tomb of the 12th dynasty official Jehush-Hotep, there is an image of 170 men pulling sledges with his alabaster statue, which weighs about 60 tons. The illustration shows a man standing in front of the sledges pouring water onto the sand. Why he did this was not known for certain until experiments showed that the right amount of moisture in the sand reduces the required pulling force by half. With the right amount of water, the wet sand of the desert is about twice as hard as dry sand, which means that the sledges slide much easier on wet sand. Now a few words about who built the pyramids. All recent historical research categorically refutes the fact that the pyramids were erected by slaves. Modern findings unequivocally confirm that the tombs of the pharaohs were built by free Egyptians. In support of this, an international team of archaeologists led by American Mark Lehner discovered 2 ancient settlements on the Giza plateau where pyramid builders lived. It is known that the builders worked in shifts, with each shift lasting 3 months. The largest number of workers were observed for only 4 to 5 months a year when most people were involved in moving the stone blocks. According to Mark Lehner's calculations, about 20,000 people were involved in the project to build Khufu's pyramid throughout Egypt. About 4,000 people were directly involved in the construction work. It is possible that those who were engaged in low-skilled labor worked in shifts, while professionals were in permanent service to the pharaoh. Based on an analysis of excavated animal bones and the protein requirements of a person engaged in heavy labor, paleozoologist Richard Redding estimated how much food pyramid builders needed. According to his calculations, workers consumed about 1,800 kilograms of meat per day, which is approximately 11 cows and 37 sheep and goats. They also brewed beer and baked bread in their work settlements. As you can see, modern science can tell us a lot about the past and shed light on mysteries that are still unsolved. What else would you like to know about the pyramids, and what other mysteries of the past would you like to contemplate with the TFN channel?